we're welcoming Ms. Andi Lew to the program today. She is a very influential person in the field of chiropractic and patient healthcare. You would call it alternative health, but I call it sensible health, patient-driven health, non-centralized health, non-big pharma controlled healthcare. And Andi, on her journey, has encountered the kind of natural predator to the free-thinking person on a regular basis. So she shows incredible strength of character. But in our profession, she's been a recipient of an award that only chiropractors get, for instance. So maybe we'll start with what you've done in and around chiropractic, Andi. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Joe. And this is great what you're doing. And during quarantine, there's no better thing to be doing than starting up your own podcast, right?
I am, exactly.
I think there's also a silver lining to this. So you wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for this. And it's so interesting when you say alternative, because that's what some people call natural healthcare. What's it an alternative to? I like to call it complementary because, dare I say, we actually need both. But that's the paradigm shift between the allopathic model and the wellness model, and teaching the public that there is a place for both. So yes, I am a massive advocate for natural health care, and in particular chiropractic. And that's because I understood from a very early, situation, a very early situation where I was improving my health with chiropractic. I understood how the power that made the body heals the body when no other modality worked for me. And I was riddled with sciatica, fainting attacks, digestive issues, and it all cleared up. And I even lost about 10 kilos within 3 months, even though I was really fit, teaching aerobics at the time and eating really well. Having nerve system interference removed by a chiropractor and chiropractic really changed my life, and I forever feel indebted to the chiropractic profession as a result. And it also made sense to me because I was always vehemently opposed to drugs ever since I was a little girl. I remember, being upset when my father tried to give me cough medicine and I was hallucinating. And, I just remember being really upset about seeing people smoking and the like. So it's always been something that I've been drawn to as my calling. So I marry my gifts as a communicator and educator into teaching people how to have natural health and vitality through things like chiropractic care and other natural modalities. And the award that I won was through the Chiropractic Professions Association. At the time, it was called Chiropractors Association of Australia. Now it's called the ACA, Australian Chiropractors Association. It just changed a little bit, but it was in 2009, and it was for my dedication to the profession in public education. And to this day, no other person that isn't a chiropractor has won that award.
And you're no small player because you were in the mass media. Give us a brief rundown of, were you on a TV show, a radio show, or both? Or
yeah, so I've always been a professional presenter ever since, I left school, and I was emceeing stage shows, and then that transcended into other corporate events. And then I got myself into radio in Melbourne, mainstream media, so 101.1, and 4 years hosting shows on that led me to auditioning for Melbourne Storm as their first and only female roving reporter on their home games on the ground. And then some producers saw my work from there and asked me to shoot a pilot on some mainstream TV channels, 7 and 9, and that pilot turned into our first episode. And I did 4 years hosting lifestyle shows, including a dating game show called Shopping for Love, which was on Channel 9 and National, and also some Melbourne woman lifestyle shows. It was called Melbourne Woman. There was Beyond the Boundary on Channel 10. Christy Malthouse was the reporter, and I was the roving reporter, if you like, or co-host, where we would have a look at people's lives beyond the boundary, at home. What else did they do? So, and moving forward, I actually ended up writing many books. I've got 3 of them here.
Yes, show us.
This is one of my favorites. It's got my son on the back cover. It's called Wellness Loading. And this one is it was my sixth book, and it was about a digital detox. So when we were kind of starting to get addicted to technology, and then it's also got a lot of
subject. Yes, digital detox. How good is that a term?
Exactly. So it starts off with the digital detox, and it goes into, and all the pages are really super cute because it helps you, as you read along, the battery in the pages start to fill up as more full. So the art in this is really nice, and it's about having a purpose that's greater than yourself, and knowing that when you're actually switching off media, what is it that you're filling up your wellness cup with? And are you going back to media with more purpose when you do choose, and you're ending up being intentional? This was my first book ever. Chiropractors might already know it. It's the revised edition. 7 Things Your Doctor Forgot to Tell You. Was written about 16 years ago or more. I can't even remember.
Wow.
In fact,
and I got a signed copy back then from you. Which I still have.
You did. So I used to take that book on tour to all the different chiropractic seminars, which I absolutely loved. Even got invited to speak for chiropractors assistants in New Zealand at the New Zealand College of Chiropractic when Dr. Brian Kelly was the dean, and loved inspiring. Yeah, he's still a great friend of mine, and he inspired or helped me to help others be inspired in the chiropractic assistant field. But I used to like to call them chiropractic educators, because when I had my own practice, I actually it was all about education. So it wasn't just assisting the chiropractor, but it was assisting the chiropractor through educating the public. And an educated person becomes your Pied Piper, if you like. So they're the ones doing the referrals and answering all the curly questions out there in the real world. And I also did some training with Nairi Cannon, the late Nairi Cannon, who was absolutely amazing. Yeah, so it was a 1-year diploma, and the government recognised that at the time, and that was lovely as well. So I do have the qualification as a chiropractor's assistant. And then my other books, this is my 8th book, which is actually a revised edition of the first one without the litigious subjects. This one's called Connected, and the subtitle is A Paradigm Shift in How We View Health. And the back covers.
It's important that you wrote that book, because you are let's say you're an influencer or whatever your type of media person is called these days, but you had to share your story because it's a perfect example of a small change leading to like quantum leaps in health. And evidence-based medicine can't explain it yet. It can, but it's not trying. We prefer to reduce people to a mathematical equation, A plus B. But in quantum health, when you make an input like a chiropractic adjustment, sometimes the Andi before becomes the Andi after, is like, how the heck did that happen? And it's a small input with a far-reaching response. And that's why people say, well, you know, what does Andi Lew know about health? Well, she knows a lot, once because the first line of health in chiropractic is the front desk, or chiropractic assistant, whatever you want to call them. But your experience has to be shared. And I think that's why I think you're wonderful. Please go on about your book.
Oh, thank you. It's interesting that you do say that front of house experience is so important to be shared, because I think there are so many talented chiropractors who are scientists, and you can't be good at everything. You can't be a scientist and an artist in this art, and, you know, this scientific and specific technique it needs so much focus on each person that you're caring for, that the practitioner or the doctor of chiropractic doesn't have time to think about communication. And that's why it's so crucial to have somebody in your team to be able to share and tell that story in layman's terms, because I found over and over and over again, because doctors of chiropractic are continually thinking as that scientist, they're telling the information to the person that they're caring for. And notice I never use the word patient, because it means one who suffers. And I honestly believe that you're no longer suffering when you're having continually having chiropractic care. So you're only getting better with each adjustment. So the person that you're caring for is listening and hanging on to every word you're saying. But if you're in sort of, I guess, autopilot mode with what you've heard in seminars or what you've been taught at university, it makes sense to you in your mind, and you've heard it 1,000 times before, so you feel like you're saying it again and they should understand it because you do. But the layperson, it still doesn't make sense to them. So it's really important to listen to the people who are having the chiropractic care, and then people like myself who is so committed to educating people to understand how their bodies work and how the chiropractic is the catalyst for helping their bodies to do their own healing and empowering the person so that they make the choice to come in and see you, not because you recommended it. This is my whole goal, and it's crucial, absolutely crucial. So what do I know? I make it my business to know, if that makes sense. I talk to other people who are having chiropractic care as well, and I continually have chiropractic care myself 20-something years later, which is why I look so good for 72 next month. And I like to be that inspiration. I am going to be 48 next month. And this is what this book's about as well, to age less and be well. And here's the chapter about chiropractic being the window. The spine is the window to your health, because if my spine obviously is functioning at its optimum because it's housing my nervous system, which is controlling every cell, tissue and organ in my body and every single system, then of course my body is going to adapt better, perceive the world better, and function better, and all of those wonderful things.
And you're also very holistic in your approach, because you realize the spine is the backbone. Chiropractic is kind of a pivotal approach, but yet you're very holistic. You've written books on relationships and dating as well, helping people. I read your dating book, and it brought me kind of up to speed with the new generation of all this online stuff. And I must say, it was a fun book too, because I think it's important that you're always a bit light. You're pretty heavy in your subject matter, but you're light.
I got a bit heavy there. I got a bit passionate, didn't I?
No, that's you're very light as well, and fun. So the holistic part is that you look at all the facets of well-being.
Well, that's it. And this is why I wrote the book. Art imitates life, or life imitates art. I started researching #InstaLovers, digital dating, DM disasters and love stories when dating apps first started becoming rife in Australia, maybe 8 years ago. And I noticed that there were a lot of dating apps around, but there wasn't a book on how to have great etiquette, or how to navigate your way through, or how to be successful in turning texts into dates. And so
navigate the minefield.
Yeah, right. But there was a lot of, I found through my research, because I did match with a lot of people so that I could have conversations with them, and some of them just became really good friends. And I remember a lot of them were saying, "Oh, can we go on a date so that I can be in the book?" And I was like, "Honey, you already are." I'm already screenshotting our whole conversation. We don't need to go on a date for me to get my information. But when the book actually finally came out, they all came out of the woodwork saying, "Oh, am I actually in the book?" And I said, "Well, you have to read it to find out now." But a lot of these people that I chatted to were, I don't like to use the term broken, but definitely lost. There's divorce rates that are going higher and higher every year.
Yeah.
And, I'm laughing, but I'm not, because it's the reality of it, and I'm laughing because it got worse during lockdown. Anything that was a little bit broken was really going to show its true colours during spending all of that time. There was nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. And you had to face any problems that you were having at home. And it has been actually very sad anyway for some people with domestic violence not being able to get out. That's a whole other story. But I feel so passionate about having healthy connections and healthy relationships too. And, moving forward, I've actually thought about studying psychology and other things that might be able to help people more. But the dating book was definitely a lot of fun. You'll read it and have an absolute laugh. And my favorite chapter is how to weed out the weirdos.
But you have to admit, the weirdos teach us a lot, and these are we want to avoid pain at any cost, and sometimes Yeah, you're right. How to avoid the weirdos is definitely a lesson, but there's a positive side, isn't there? Like you said,
Well,
I'm
are
here
they
in
weird, or are they
quarantine.
they might just be socially awkward, you see, and so that's why the book is helpful. And you really need to be a comedic writer to be able to be successful in that game anyway. And so that's why it's important to read some of those chapters, to have a little bit more fun with it and understand that it's just a connection. It doesn't mean just because you matched you're getting married. I think that's what people do. They put so much pressure on that, and I've looked into that a lot, and I'm thinking, it's the psychology behind the swipe, and that what that means. It's like that, oh, I'm done with you type thing. And it's also the psychology behind the graphics that the apps are using, like when it's a match, boom, it's a match, you've won, and it's like, but what is it that you've actually won? So it's important to slow down that fast dating movement, if you like, and still get to know somebody and just learn how to ascertain who is fake. And we can do that now, because I feel like a lot of the apps were actually using my manuscript to improve their app. And I said something about asking for their other social media platforms to check them out and to see how they interact with the rest of the world from there. But also, it's really important to understand too that video calls are like, it should be the number one thing you do, because instantly you can find out if you have connection with that person, the timing with the conversation you're having. You'll see if you've got, any compatibility there. And also you'll just immediately see if they're real or not. Simple. So now the apps,
like choosing your chiropractor could be as much of a minefield too. But what would you say is the hallmark of let's say, you've had a lot of experience, the hallmark of a good chiropractor? Maybe that's a bad question, but do you have any thoughts on that? And then I want to ask you about the future that you've got it in place for the future, Andi. What do you think?
There's lots of things I want to share with you on this subject, because in my books there is a chapter about how to find a good chiropractor. So, a good, it just went on to low power mode. Sorry about that. I pressed it. How to find a good chiropractor. And, there's good and bad in every profession. Just because we eat at a bad Chinese restaurant because it had MSG in it or whatever doesn't mean all Chinese food is bad. Sure. And I'm not just putting that as an example for the nationality of the food. It could be, a fish and chips shop as well that might have, off fish because it wasn't fresh, the turnover wasn't good. So you don't say all fish shops are bad. You just say that shop was bad, or that Chinese restaurant was bad, or that Italian restaurant was bad. It doesn't matter. And so I think we have to remove the stigma around chiropractors perhaps being, there's so many myths and misconceptions around the profession. First of all, is the chiropractor, do they have a degree, the double science degree at the university? Were they really a chiropractor, or did you just think they were a chiropractor because they were emulating chiropractic techniques? And so the book goes on to help people understand, the training and the scientific qualifications behind this person before you go in. Are they using objective measures of health as well? So that they're not just focusing on your symptoms, because we know that the nervous system is only dedicated to about 2 to 10% worth of symptoms. So if we're only focusing on how you're improving, then through you telling us, with pain and so forth, then we're only focusing on 2 to 10%. And so we need to look at things like posture tests, EMG scans, re-x-rays if they're low dose, all those sorts of things. So the book explains that. Yeah. And then the other thing is too, word of mouth is great within the community, but also you're talking about video chats, which is why we're talking about this in context from the dating book going into how do you find a good chiropractor. And back in the day when, I just discovered chiropractic and ran the practice, I was like emphatic about on business cards, because we don't have business cards anymore. We had to have a photo of everyone in the practice, because that breeds familiarity, and the photo is like, oh, now you're not a stranger when I walk in to see you for the first time. I feel like I've met you before. You look like a friendly person. All of those sorts of things build rapport. And so whilst some chiropractors are being active on social media now, although we do have to be careful in terms of it coming across like a testimonial and so forth, I think it's really important to be educative. You are the doctors of the future, like Thomas Edison said, who will educate their patients in the care of the human frame, in diet and in the cause and prevention of disease. And so as educators, it's important to use social media or, this podcast, if you like, to continue to educate the public on how their body works and how chiropractic is the catalyst in assisting that, and be very specific and intentional with that language once again. And I just worked with a chiropractor recently in Sydney because I'm living in Bondi now, and the chiropractor reached out to me and asked me to record a series of Vimeo links, like videos, that explain. This is really clever because this is going next level now, and I'm open to any chiropractor who wants me to create this for them as well as their spokesperson. But instead of getting a text message and saying, congratulations, we're excited to meet you for your first chiropractic appointment. This is what you'll expect on the first visit. Please fill out our online forms, etc. Instead of that, we've created a series of videos from the after the first visit, to the report of findings, to after the report of findings and first adjustment. And it's a really nice, tap on this Vimeo link to get a couple of minutes worth of information to refresh the person, because obviously we bombard them with so much information.
Yeah. Sounds good.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, and once again, it's a video. It's that sense of familiarity again with the practice and the person.
So obviously you're still working closely with chiropractors.
Oh, I always will. In fact, I'm still working with Health Space, which is a chain of 16 clinics across Sydney, through Dr. Nick Wood. And he's an amazing man. He obviously takes new grads and employs them and treats them with like family. And
I think Nick Wood was in that original A Current Affair video that I've got on this site, and we were both caring for children. I'm pretty sure it's Nick that adjusted the baby and I adjusted the other two kids.
I didn't know that.
There was, I think it was him. But so if Andi had a crystal ball, or found $1 trillion under her bed tonight, so what's the future for Andi if she could just unleash?
To make a documentary about chiropractic and how the power that made the body heals the. Yeah, it would be amazing. I actually have a friend in Bondi. She is a girl from Quebec, Caroline. She just lives up the road. We're like sisters. It's amazing. But she is a very clever documentary filmmaker. She created the movie We Love Paleo, and also the one after that called Defying All Odds, which is about a medic, a woman. Her and her wife describe her journey as narrators about how she healed autoimmune disease, multiple sclerosis, just through diet and lifestyle. And it's a brilliant documentary, and I've often thought I'd love to get Caroline to make one with me, but obviously these things cost a lot of money. So if the chiropractic profession were interested in us creating something for them, maybe we could all work together and pull together. But we've got all the resources right here, and the story that she told was amazing, but I just kept watching it and thinking, if only the woman also explained chiropractic within this documentary, it would be so powerful. But see what's possible even without it. Imagine going next level with it. Like, who knows what the body's actually capable of then.
Yeah, we recently made a movie about 10 years ago, The Power of Upper Cervical, and it was Storyville Studios, who were affiliated with the Disney Studios, a guy called Bill Beretta. But it was a good movie. But yes, like you say, it would be nice to go full impact. But I just think everybody should follow you and see what you're doing, Andi Lew, Lew. Do you have anything closing that you'd like to add?
Yes, I do want to stay in contact with everyone. Thank you so much for all of the work that you do in the chiropractic profession, everybody, for helping us live in a drug-free world. It's just been my life's purpose and mission to help people understand that we can live drug-free or toxin-free.
Unfortunately,
if we give our bodies the right environment. Exactly. So I just want to say thank you, because I wish I was a chiropractor sometimes, but then if I was, I wouldn't be able to communicate to the public in the way that I do.
No, we need you the way you are. No.
Thank you. But definitely get my book. Check it out. If you're overseas, you can get a Kindle version on Amazon. Otherwise, you can get it on andilew.com, and I'll sign it for you, ANDILEW.com. And it's actually in bookstores across Australia. And it's a really good, dare I say the word patient, educational tool It's great for gifting to people, to help them understand why they're coming to see you, so that they don't miss appointments, and so that they do the referring for you. And I remember I was talking to somebody who I was booking in for Dr. Nick, and he had some sort of tumor going on with his brain and all that sort of thing. And I actually booked him in to see a chiropractor who was an NET chiropractor and a kinesiologist. And I said, I have the right person for you. And then he says, how do you know so much? And I kind of told him a little bit about myself. And I said, oh, I've written this book as well. And then he goes, I'm going to buy it as soon as we get off this phone call. And then it was about a few weeks later, because Dr. Anita was so busy. She's a fantastic chiropractor. And I was on my way to see her, and I got a text message from him. And he says, just letting you know, I finished your book. I'm on my way to see Dr. Anita Russo, and now I finally know why I'm going to see a chiropractor. And I was like, wow, that's why you have to read this, because now she's got a better relationship with the person that she's caring for.
That's great. I mean, a parallel at the moment would be, say, cryptocurrency, and some people are saying, well, get into Bitcoin. But the real people who understand Bitcoin say, look, educate yourself about it before you do anything. And chiropractic's the same. Yes, you can be miraculous, but most of the time, as you've emphasized throughout this interview, is it's education. And isn't that the hallmark of growth? And on that point, Miss Andi Lew, I am thrilled that we had this chat, and who knows, we might have another one soon.
Oh, maybe in the documentary, we'll invite you to speak.
Sure thing.
Nice. Thank you so much, Joan. Well done on this.
Bye, Andi. See you soon.
Bye.